Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I saw this comment from a subscriber the other day, and I feel like answering it a bit because I have very little info there, but I have an entire world of info there because of what they said. And let's discuss some tips that are going to help all of you get stronger in general and understand why this person might be having problems here. I see something that is a giveaway as to what they're doing wrong immediately. They're saying they're getting so close to deadlifting 600 pounds, but they just can't lock it out. This goes back to something I've heard Paul Carter say, who is a very successful coach and a top 20 powerlifter on Powerlifting Watch, and he's a big ripped dude also, by the way. You go to the gym to build strength, not to demonstrate strength. And another thing that is oftentimes said, you don't get stronger or bigger by failing to lift a weight. And that's something way too many guys do. They try to hit true maxes and things outside of a competitive environment. And any of you who've competed, there's one thing that you guys know. What happens after a competition? What happens after you've hit true maxes or missed lifts or missed a squat or a deadlift in competition? Your strength goes down. You feel like you've been hit by a truck after a meet. What do most guys do after a meet? A lot of guys take 3 days off, a week off, 2 weeks off from lifting and let their body heal and recover. So if you're going to the gym and you're attempting big, heavy lifts like max squats or max deadlifts and you miss an attempt, what do you need to do afterwards? One, you need to now recover and let your body rest. You should probably go ahead and take a week off from the gym. You've lost a week of progress by doing that because you've pushed like your peripheral nervous system and everything beyond what it can handle. You're going to be weaker if you come back and train after that. Number two, you need to be reassessing what it is that you're doing, because if you're in the gym missing lifts, you're not getting stronger. So you need to step back and say, hey, did I really miscalculate what I thought I could lift by that much? If I really thought that my true 1 rep max was 600 pounds, why in the world would I attempt to do 600 pounds in the gym, knowing that it's going to set me back? If I make it, I'm not going to get stronger. I'm just going to grind it out. If I do make it, I'm going to train myself to get slower, fatigue myself, and you're not going to get any bigger or stronger from one slow grind or rep. Why would I go within 5% of it? 95% of a max at the most, but generally training maxes are at around 90%. So if you think that your max is really 600, there is no reason for you to ever go over 570 in the gym, because that's how you'll build strength. You get really strong on 1 rep maxes by building muscle mass and motor pattern by doing accumulation work, rep work, with good form, with good bar speed, and by maybe doing singles and doubles with no more than 90 to 95% of your max. So if you think your max is 600 and you come in and you perform dozens of singles over several weeks with 570, you might actually be able to get your 600 when you go for it in a competitive environment. And your 570 is going to look clean and fast every single time. It's going to ingrain form. It's going to ingrain motor skills. And when someone says to me, I could almost lift this weight, I just can't lock it out. No, you can't almost lift it. The reason that this person can't get 600 pounds on their deadlift is because they are not strong enough to lift 600 pounds. They don't need to work on their lockout. They don't need to work on other stuff. They need to get stronger, because actually they're probably only strong enough to lift 585 or 590. They're not strong enough to deadlift 600 pounds. They need to get stronger. Number two, when you're doing raw lifting, you need to lose this idea of lockout, mid-work, all of that stuff. That is really ideas for people who compete equipped. When you're truly raw, no wraps, no sleeves, nothing like that. You're competing really raw, or you lift really raw. It's all about speed strength. How explosive can you get from the bottom? And so what I would tell someone who can't hit the lockout on a bench press or on a deadlift or anything else, you don't need to get stronger at the top. You need to get more explosive out of the bottom. You need more starting strength. You need more strength from a dead stop, because if you can generate 10% more bar speed coming out of the bottom on the deadlift, you have momentum going that you can pull through easier. You don't have to be as strong to lock 600 pounds if it's moving 10% faster by the time you get a third of the way or halfway through the lift. You can be 10% weaker and still lock that weight. It's about generating explosiveness from the bottom. Maybe you need to be doing more deficit work. Maybe you need to be doing more explosive work with sub-maximal weight. Because that's the thing. You don't get stronger by failing. And I don't mean metabolic fatigue. Metabolic fatigue makes you bigger, and a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. Metabolic fatigue happens through rep work and then reaching failure or near failure at the very end of an 8+ rep set. Higher reps. It's not the same thing. You don't get metabolic fatigue from a 1, 2, or 3 rep set. You just have your peripheral nervous system fail. You fail to recruit enough motor units. And if you fail to recruit enough motor units and you safely lowered the weight or it hit the ground without you being injured, that does not stimulate your body to get stronger. Your body gets stronger and builds thicker muscle fibers, and you repeatedly subject it to a stress that it can handle, that it can fully complete the exercise, but at a threshold to where it's starting to get dangerous in terms of maybe you could be injured. Your body will adapt in a way when it knows that you are subjecting it to a force that if you repeatedly subject it to, and it's being successful with it, but it's getting close to the injury level, it will thicken things up. It will train you to get stronger. It'll increase bone density. It'll increase muscle fiber thickness in order to prevent future injuries from a chronic stress that you're repeatedly subjecting it to. Failing a max over and over, you can't do it very often. In fact, you're going to just start getting lower and lower if you keep doing that. You're not subjecting your body to something that's near stressful. It's just failing to do it. And since you can't do it as often, you can't do as much volume, your body is going to consider it more of a one-off thing. It is about consistency. By consistently subjecting your body to an adaptative stress, that's when it gets stronger, that's when it gets bigger, that's when things thicken up. And the last point comes back to that speed strength again and starting strength again. If you train yourself to be slow and to miss reps and for the bar to slow down as you start getting near the top because it's just too heavy for you to lift, you're not training the motor patterns you need. You're not training your body to turn on maximum motor units and muscle fibers that you need to get stronger. It's by lifting a weight fast and explosively that you train your nervous system, because that's the other component to strength and power, is not just muscle fiber size. Muscle fiber size is a massive component. Again, a thicker muscle fiber, a bigger muscle is capable physically of generating more force. But you are also training your nervous system. And to train the nervous system, what you're trying to do is train it to turn on more motor units, to recruit more muscle fibers more quickly. You achieve that through explosiveness, through speed, through training faster with good technique and ingraining the technique and form in the bar speed that you want to see all the time. And if you look at currently the big Russian guy, and I can't pronounce his name, if you watch him hit his 1,000-pound raw squats or raw with wraps, if you guys watch him, you don't see him grinding. He's not grinding them out. He is explosive. It looks like an opener when he does it. And that's true of the best lifters out there. And that's true of anyone who's trying to get stronger in general. You don't have to be a competitive power lifter. If you're trying to get more strength, more power, just to be a stronger person, maybe as a tool to gain more muscle mass, maybe because you want to compete in football or mixed martial arts or anything else, speed equals power. And that's true of any endeavor. You can punch faster and harder. If you can get faster, you can train your nervous system to turn on more motor units. You get more explosive. You can kick harder if you do the same thing. You can hit someone harder on a playing field, and you can deadlift and squat more weight if you can recruit more motor units for speed and power. And so that's the other component that people need to really focus on. The neurological component is about developing technique, bar path, and then some motor skills, and then motor unit recruitment. And you're not going to get there by slowly grinding out reps that you're missing because you're not training that speed. You're just training your body to turn off. It's not going to stimulate the response that you want. So it's really about the speed and the power. And those big slow grinders don't help you do that, especially with 1-rep maxes. Again, slow grinders are failing to lift a rep only induces metabolic fatigue, and you don't induce metabolic fatigue with low reps. Save that for your higher rep training, and you're using that higher rep training to get bigger. You're using it to thicken up. Don't confuse the two. That muscle thickness that you're creating from the metabolic fatigue from higher rep work and maybe reaching muscle failure or pushing beyond it doesn't transfer to 1 to 3 rep range. Those need to always be fast, they need to always be explosive, and they need to be with perfect form. There is no room in training for doing that. So the whole moral of the story is, for someone who's failing to lock out a 600-pound deadlift, they need to stop trying to lift weights that they're not capable of lifting with good technique and form and good bar speed in the gym. You're in the gym to build strength, not demonstrate strength. Drop down to the 550 to 570 range and work with that with enough speed and power and enough workload over the weeks and months, and you'll get your 600. You need to get stronger and you need to get more explosive. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.